Welcome back to NAZ Today, guys. My name is Hannah Ware, and I'll be your student weather forecaster for the night. Last week, we did have Matt Keenan step in, and all I'd like to say is I'm glad to be back, and I'm sure you guys are too. Totally kidding. We love you here at NAZ Today, Matt. Let's get into our temperatures for today. Currently, we are at 52 degrees with clear skies, and that can be explained by our barometric pressure above 30 by 0.26 and winds pushing about 10 miles per hour, but nothing too intense. It's going to feel more like a warm breeze as of today. As we can see in our current satellite, looks like we're having a little bit of a hiccup here. In our neighboring state right here, we are seeing some intense winds pushing in that southeast region. However, it's not really affecting Arizona at all, especially in that northern Arizona region. And as we look in our highs and lows today for Flagstaff, we are seeing a high of 54, low of 24. Right around those averages as expected. However, we have not seen any precipitation today. However, I'd say that's okay considering last week we did see a lot of snowfall, adding to our inches since January 1st at 1.24. And I'm hoping this weekend we will actually see some snow as it's predicted so that we aren't having such a huge gap of that 3 inches where we're sitting at 4.2 inches. Looking at our high temperatures all around Phoenix, you're sitting at 85, Las Vegas 79, Kingman 75, and then in that Flagstaff, Grand Canyon, Page region at a higher elevation, you guys are sitting at low to mid 50s. Tonight we will see a low of 24, mostly clear skies and a new moon, so it'll be a great night to go out and check out those stars at 1.1%. As we head into tomorrow morning, we'll see again a beautiful sunny sky, 60 degrees, sunrise at 6:55 a.m. and then our days are getting longer when our sunset is at 6:23 p.m. as well. Looking into our highs and lows for tomorrow, Lake Havasu, you're sitting at a beautiful 84 degrees, so it's definitely time to take out your boat to the lake and just please invite me because I'd like to get my tan on. Phoenix, you're at a high 80, almost getting into those 90-degree temperatures at 87. And then Page, Tuba City, Winslow, you guys are in those mid to high 60 degrees. Wednesday, we'll see a high of 61 with a low of 31. Pretty much same thing for Thursday as well, Friday, that's where we're going to see that drop in gusts at night. We'll see a drop in about 15-degree temperatures and some intense gusts around 30 miles per hour. And then on Saturday, we will see some potential snow, 30 to 40%, but that won't really start until noon, and hopefully that carries through to Sunday. That's all we have for weather, but stay tuned after the break for sports with Lindsay Ridgway. Welcome back to NAZ Today, guys. Once again, my name is Hannah Ware, and I'll be your student weather forecaster for the night. Currently at 6 p.m., we are seeing a temperature of 45 degrees and southwest winds pushing at 21 miles per hour. However, though, we can see in our current satellite, those can even get up to 30 miles per hour with lots of coverage right here. Make sure you bundle up and be careful, like I said earlier, when you're driving for some unsecure objects, especially if you're driving a bigger vehicle. We can even see gusts at 40 to 55 miles per hour, so pretty chilly night if you'd ask me. Looking at our highs and lows today, we do see a high of 51 with a low of 22. Right on par with those averages. Even though we are seeing a very cold, chilly night tonight, we're nowhere near that record low at -10 in 1942. Once again, no precipitation, meaning no rain or snow since January 1st, adding to our 0.17 inches. However, that'll all change tomorrow with our 40% chance of snow showers. Looking at our high temperatures, we can see in that outer region of northern Arizona, Prescott, you're at a high of 67, Phoenix almost up to those 80 degrees, and Winslow, you're sitting at 69. And to tonight, we will see a forecast low of 22 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, and we will see a full moon. However, it'll be difficult to see those stars with that cloudy skies. Our sunset is at 6:09 p.m., so you have missed it. Moving into tomorrow, we will see a high of 37. Of course, cloudy skies with our snow showers at 40% chance. And as we head into tomorrow for our highs and lows, in Phoenix, you'll drop back down to 62 with the low 44. Lake Havasu, even though you're sitting nice and pretty at 67 with the low 51, there is a wind advisory, so make sure if you're going out on the lake. And we can see in that Flagstaff, Page, Winslow area, we are seeing high 30s to low 50s. As we head into the weekend, once again, we already went over Wednesday. On Thursday, sunny skies once again, like that snow never happened at 42 degrees. We'll slowly climb back up to 53 on Saturday, partly cloudy skies, and pretty much the same for Sunday as well. Well, that's all we have for weather. Stay tuned after the break for sports with Lindsay Ridgway. Welcome back to NAZ Today, everybody. My name is Hannah Ware, and I'll be your student weather forecaster for the night. Now, before we get into weather today, I just wanted to let you guys know that the Senate has passed the Daylight Savings Bill. While that might not affect Arizona and even Hawaii, that does affect the whole entire nation, so it's something important to look at. It'll start in 2023. That's when it'll be permanent that we aren't changing our times. This is ending the twice annual changings of clocks for winter and summer. And the whole point of this is to bring brighter afternoons and more economic activity to better our mental health. So I'm really sure that's going to work for us in the future. Now looking at our temperature for today, we are at 64 degrees and clear skies. Our barometric pressure is at 30.23, explaining those clear skies that we've seen these past few days, and no wind. 0 miles per hour, which is pretty exciting. And we can actually see that in our current satellite right now. We haven't seen any cloud coverage. So if you're heading out this weekend, just make sure to put on some sunscreen. We're very much used to the cloud coverage we've been seeing in gloomy skies. So if you head out, it's going to be really easy to burn when the sun's right on top of you. Now, when we look at our highs and lows today in Flagstaff, we do see a high of 68 degrees with the low 29, well above those averages. We're actually about 15 to 20 degrees above what our average is supposed to be in late March. And when we look at our record, we have 0 degrees in 1904. In the early 1900s, we were at 0 degrees and even negative numbers with the really intense cold front. So it's kind of ironic that we're well above those averages at this point. Now, we haven't seen any precipitation, so our total is still at about 2.3 inches. That's a 3-inch difference from our average. Now, that might not mean too much right now because it's still pretty wet outside. However, that could foreshadow in the future when we get into that spring, summer weather, when we start going camping and having bonfires. So just make sure you're looking out for that safety in the future. Now, when we are looking at our high temperatures all across, Phoenix, you're at 86 degrees. You're just going to keep climbing this weekend. Las Vegas, you're right around there with Phoenix, and Winslow, you have the lowest temperature at 57 degrees. When we head into tonight for Flagstaff, we do have a low 29, clear skies. And for the first time in a long time, I can say that the sun is setting after this broadcast. So when I get out of here, it's going to be nice and bright. When we go to bed and wake up in the morning, we will see 70 degrees, clear skies, and sunrise at 6:23 a.m. Now, I'm an early bird, but I'm definitely not going to be getting up that early. Now, when we look at our high temperatures all around for tomorrow, Lake Havasu, you're sitting at a beautiful 92 degrees. So if you're heading out to the lake, pretty jealous there. Phoenix, like I said, you're skyrocketing up to 94 degrees. And we can see in that Flagstaff, Winslow, Tuba City region at the higher elevation, you're sitting at the mid to high 70 degrees. Now, when we look into the weekend for Flagstaff, we do see 70 degrees as our high for tomorrow. Same thing for Saturday, pretty much. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're going to start climbing down. Monday, you might see some precipitation for rainfall. Tuesday, you're definitely going to be seeing that rainfall. Now, that is all we have for weather, but stay tuned tomorrow for your weekend weather recap. Welcome back to NAZ Today. My name is Hannah Ware, and I'll be your student weather forecaster for tonight. If you guys can see behind me, yesterday we finally got some snow-capped mountains, and that lasted through the night as this picture was taken at 7 a.m. this morning. However, if you were to go out right now, it unfortunately melted. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited to start seeing that snowfall hit those mountains. As we can see for the satellite today, we have some slight southwest winds pushing up into northern Arizona, but nothing too crazy. And this video right behind me, I actually took earlier, and I'm excited to see those leaves finally turning into those fall colors. Red, orange, yellow, all the good stuff. As you can see, the temperature today is 60 degrees, mostly clear skies, 8-mile-per-hour winds. Again, nothing too crazy, but if you are heading out on the town, you're definitely going to bring a light jacket with you. As we can see, for the high and lows today, we have a high of 65 with a low of 38, right around those averages. Our highest was 81 in 1987, and our lowest was 18 in 1912. Pretty drastic differences if you ask me. However, I'm glad to say that we are not in those 80-degree temperatures considering we are in early October. As for precipitation, my goodness, we can see a whopping 0.05 inches of rain, adding to our total of 20.32 inches since January 1st, well above those averages of about 5 inches. Pretty excited to see those intense weather storms hitting us these past few days. As we can see for all around northern Arizona, we can see that 65, Flagstaff has a high of 65, Sedona is a high of 67, and Phoenix, you guys are finally below those 90s at 89 degrees, but don't get too excited as we head into the week. As we can see, our forecast low is 38 degrees, mostly cloudy. And if you're watching this right now, you definitely missed our sunset. But if you're an early bird like me, you can definitely look for the sunrise tomorrow. We also have a new moon phase tonight, but because of those cloudy skies, it is going to be a little hard to see. As we head into tomorrow morning, we do have a high of 65 degrees, partly sunny. And if you're an early bird like I am, like I said earlier, we can see that sunrise at 6:26 a.m. Moving forward, we can see our highs and lows. Sedona, we have a low of 55 with the high of 76. Flagstaff, a low of 41 with the high of 65. And in Phoenix, a low of 63. And we're back into just those 90-degree temperatures at 91 degrees. So sad. As we're heading into the week, we can see on Thursday, we have a high of 65 with the low of 41, partly cloudy skies. Friday, we'll see a little bit of rain and pretty much continues as we go into Sunday. However, on Monday, we're going to have a pretty sunny day with little to no clouds and a high of 59 degrees. However, on Tuesday, we are going to have a drastic change of more rainfall and potential snowfall. So make sure you adjust to those changes and you dress warm for that weather. That's all we have for weather today, but stay tuned after the break for your sports recap with Tyler Murphy. Welcome back to NAZ Today, everybody. My name is Hannah Ware, and I'll be your student weather forecaster for the night. Now, looking at our current temperature, we do see 43 degrees, and even though our barometric pressure is slightly below 30, we're still seeing those clear skies as that lower pressure system is moving out. Now, we can look at our miles per hour winds, and those are pretty strong. They were a little bit stronger earlier today, about 50 miles per hour. Now, a little fun, ironic fact is we're having a windy day today, and it's actually National Big Wind Day because in the year 1934 in Washington, the wind speeds were double the speed of a strong tornado, which is about 110 miles per hour. Now, if you do the math, that means it's about 220 to 230 miles per hour in Washington that day. Now, we're lucky that we're nowhere near that today. We can actually see in our current satellite too that extreme wind coverage we're seeing. Now, we see some right here in this region, but it's really affecting our neighboring states for New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. Not too much coverage in this region, regardless of the high wind speeds. Looking at our high today, we do have a high of 46 with the low of 14, well below those averages. Our highest record was 75 degrees in 1904. And a few weeks ago, I mentioned that in the 1950s, they had quite the cold front. And we can see that once again with the temperature of 7 degrees. It even got to below negative from time to time. Now, we did see the slightest showers today. However, that doesn't make enough to have any inches towards our precipitation. So our total is still 3 inches, and that just keeps making our gap bigger and bigger from what our average is supposed to be, which will affect us as our dry fire season continues. Looking for our high temperatures today, Phoenix, beautiful 75 degrees, same for Sedona and even Las Vegas. Now Hopi, you guys are 51 degrees, and I just wanted to point it out that if you're living in the Hopi region or anywhere near around that, there is a dust blow warning that will continue into tomorrow. So if you're going out, please cover your face to protect yourself from debris, or just try not to go out at all, which is the best option. Our low tonight is 14 degrees, clear skies, and a sunset at almost 7 p.m. Tomorrow, sunrise will be just before 6 a.m. with a high of 52 as our temperatures will incline. Now, looking into our temperatures all around for tomorrow, Lake Havasu, beautiful high of 73 with the low of 56. Tuba City and Winslow and Payson, low, beautiful 60 degrees. And when we head into the rest of the week for Flagstaff, 52, like I said, we're going to keep climbing up with those warm temperatures. Friday, the real kicker, when we're finally hitting those 60 degrees, that'll slowly continue on Sunday when we're seeing those 70-degree temperatures, which will be very warm here in northern Arizona. Now, that is all I have for weather, but stay tuned after the break with sports for Michael Manny. Welcome back to NAZ Today, guys. My name is Hannah Ware, and I'll be your student weather forecaster for the night. Looking at our current temperature around 6 p.m., we actually do see 37 degrees and cloudy skies, explaining why our barometric pressure is well below 30 at 29.84, with a relative humidity of 86%. Now, when we move into our current satellite, we do see a lot of coverage in that northwest region all around Arizona, but pretty much centered in that northern Arizona part of the region. Now, we do have 8-mile-per-hour winds today, and even though that might not seem too strong, combined with that intense weather storm we've seen today, it's quite the chilly day, and that'll continue throughout the night as well. Looking at our highs and lows for today, our high is 45 degrees with the low of 27, and our high is well below our average, about 10-degree difference. Now, last forecast, I was saying about how we were nowhere near that record low, but now we're nowhere near that record high with 70 degrees in 1934. So we've done pretty much a complete 180. Looking at our precipitation today, we've seen 0.23 inches. And even though it's still well below that average, some precipitation is better than no precipitation. When we look at our highs all around northern Arizona and even the outskirts of northern Arizona, Phoenix, Prescott, Sedona, all sitting at a beautiful 68 degrees. Las Vegas, you're sitting at the lowest temperature at a high of 57, and Page, even at a higher region, you're sitting at a beautiful 72 degrees. Now, when we head into tonight, we will see a forecast low of 27 degrees, and heading into the night, that's when our clouds will start dispersing. So even though we haven't really been able to see the sun today, that'll all change tonight when we will be able to see the stars when the sun sets at 6:46 p.m. Now, heading into tomorrow morning, our forecast high will be 55 degrees, sunny skies as those clouds will move away in the region after our low pressure system. Sunrise at 6:16 a.m. As we head into tomorrow for all of northern Arizona, Lake Havasu, beautiful 80 degrees with some good times and tan lines. Phoenix, you've dropped about 10 to 15 degrees with a high of 79. Page still at a beautiful 70 degrees with a low of 46. Now, when we head into the rest of the week for Flagstaff, Wednesday 55 with a low of 29. Pretty much the same thing for Thursday, even though we will expect some precipitation, about 20% chance. Friday through Saturday, we will spike up to those low 60s. Friday, even though you'll be sunny. Saturday, partly cloudy. Sunday, potential rainfall, about 30%. Now, that is all I have for weather, but stay tuned after the break for sports with Michael Manny. Welcome back to NAZ Today, guys. My name is Hannah Ware, and I'll be your student weather forecaster for the night. As we look in our current satellite right now, we see slight winds pushing in that middle eastern region, but nothing too crazy, not really affecting northern Arizona. However, we do see a potential of 21-mile-per-hour winds, and our barometric pressure is above 30 at 30.3, explaining those clear skies and a temperature average of 52 degrees today. Looking at our daily almanac, our high is 49 with a low of 19, right around those averages for those highs and spot on with those lows. And our record low was negative 17 in 1933. I'm personally thankful that we're nowhere near there as we are supposed to be heading into those spring temperatures. Looking at our precipitation for today, we don't see any rain adding to our 0.17 inches since January 1st, well below that average at 2.51. Also, if we look in this corner right here, we do see a sunrise at 7:20 a.m., a sunset at 6:02 p.m., showing that our days are getting longer as we head into that next season. Moving forward, we see high temperatures all around northern Arizona. Flagstaff, again, a high of 49. Prescott, high of 56. And Phoenix, you spiked back up to those 70 degrees with a low of 73. Heading into tonight, we will see a forecast low of 90 degrees. Again, clear skies and a sunset at 6:02 p.m. So if you're watching this right now, you can look forward to a sunrise at 7:19 a.m., high of 54 degrees and sunny skies once again. Heading into our forecast temperatures for northern Arizona tomorrow, we can see in that Kingman, Sedona, Prescott area, we are in those high 60s with the low of 64 in Prescott. And as we move into that Tuba City to Show Low region, we are seeing again high of 50s, low of 52 in Show Low. And Lake Havasu and Phoenix, you guys have a high of 75 and a 78, close to those 80-degree temperatures. As we head into the weekend on Thursday, we do see a high of 52 with a low of 23. That'll spike up on Friday at 58 with a low of 24. Spike back down on Saturday, and then heading into Sunday and Monday, we will see a high of 57 and a low of 25. Well, that's all we have for weather today, but stay tuned after the break for sports with Michael Manny.